Uh, I hope my screen is visible. So today's chapters is about loops. So in Python, there are two types of loops. First one is while loop. Let me write it down. Second one is for loop. So while loop. So I'll start with an example. So let's take an example that you want to print numbers from 1 to 5. Um, let's say that in console you want to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you have to, let's take an example that we want to print 1,000 numbers. So instead of writing 1,000 numbers, that will be a time consuming. Instead of that, we can use sets of functions that will print numbers from 1 to 100 or 1 to 1000 or 1 to anything you want. So what we can achieve that with the help of loops. You can achieve same thing with while loop and for loop. While loop uses in some cases you will use while loop, in some cases you will use for loop. So let's take in an example. Yeah, before this, what we will do, we will discuss about the question which I have shared in the group. So we will solve that and then we will proceed to the today's chapter. So the question was develop a Python program to determine eligibility and provide guidance on smoking based on user's age. Okay, so it is clear that we want to make smoking eligibility test. Now, what we will do, we will configure our code line by line. So first, let's say step one. Step one says prompt the user to enter the age using the input function. So let's check, we'll create a variable and we will use input function because in question it's mentioned that we have to use input function, input, and then enter your age. Okay, but as we know that input works as a string, so we need to typecast in integer. That is our second line. This we have done. So our step two says convert the input to an integer using the int function and store it in a variable name age. So that we already done that we created variable age and then we need to typecast in integer. Okay, so these two steps has been done. Now third one is implement conditional statement, that is if else statement, to evaluate the age entered by the user. So simply what we will do, I'll write if age. Okay, leave. I'll write if, that means we are in if else condition. Now I will check what are the conditions. So I can see that there are three conditions. First one is let me make into yeah, okay. So this one is our first condition. If the age is less than or equal to 17, print a message stating that the user is not eligible to smoke and that smoking is prohibited for individuals under 18 years. Okay. So just give me 1 second. So for 17, what we will do, we will simply write out if age is smaller than or equal to 17. If age is smaller than or equal to 17, print same will copy paste. You are not eligible to smoke and smoking is prohibited for individuals under 18 years old. So our first statement is very, very clear. Then we will use, we will check for second statement. Let me, okay, it's in same line and it's visible. So if the age is between 18 and 25, so 25 is exclusive, print a message indicating that the user is eligible to smoke but advise against it. Okay, so same what we'll do now. Here we have to instead of writing, uh, you can say here you have to use our brain and you have to do smart work. So this you can say that you have to manipulate codes to write this statement and it will work. So instead of writing like this, if age is greater than or equal to 18 and age, let's take an example, smaller than mm, or equal to 25, print this statement. Uh, you are eligible to smoke, but advise. I'll write it short. Tobacco kills. Okay. Now the third statement is if the age is greater than 25, print a message that smoke remind of the risks associated with the executive program and display the appropriate measure based on the user's age. Okay. So this means that instead of creating another elif, I'll use else statement because here it's not written that you have to use another elif statement or I have to use particular else statement. Why? I'll tell you why I'm using else statement because here it's written greater than 25. That means if the user is 35, 45 or any size of the age, it doesn't matter. So if it's greater than 25, here I mentioned in between of 18 to 25, print this message. If it's greater than 25, print any else, print anything. Print you are eligible to smoke, but smoking is uh, just 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry. So you are eligible to smoke, but smoking is injurious to health. We'll print and check. So there is one, I guess, in one mistake in this. But first, we will run and check whether this condition will work or not. Okay, then I'll tell you the another way to write. Enter your age. So first of all, we'll check this if condition. So we'll enter 15. You're not eligible to smoke. Okay. This one is working. So uh, this statement is working perfect. Now we'll check if user is 18 and in between of 25, whether our script is working or not. So let's take age as 18. Yeah, but tobacco kills. Okay. For 18, it's working. Now we'll check for 25. Okay, it's working. Now, let's take an example. Uh, age as 26. So it should print the else condition. Okay. The script is working perfect. There is no issue in this script. But can I minimize, make it short, minimize this code, or minify it, you can say. So yes, we can do that. This is one of the way. But if you write like code this way for beginner, it's very good. But when you say that you are writing an application, so by this way, it shows that you are a very beginner. So instead of like this, we can use something. If 18 age, first of all, what I'll do, I'll write variable 18 and I ignore. Then what I'll do, we know that it should be greater than 18. Okay. So if 18 greater than or equal to age, and then age is smaller than or equal to 25, print you are eligible to smoke, but tobacco kills. Okay. So this is the professional version. Then you can say, then you become expert. So you will use functions to write this code. Then you can say you have 20 years of experience, so you will use class or some class. Yeah, last one is class. You will write this code as in a class, so you can reuse that particular code again if you need that. So on different stages, you can say with different experiences, like you are 5 years experience, you will write code like this, and if you have 10 years experience, you will write code in a different way, and you have 20 plus, you will write in a different way. So now you should learn how to manipulate the code. So this is one of the we'll check again. So if 18 is greater or equal to age, print this. Okay, that is right. And if age is smaller than, that is 25 or equal to 25, print. So now we'll check our code. Uh, just just one sec. Let me decorate it. So I'll add in space. Okay. So first of all, we'll check for 15. Okay, it's working. So now again, I'll check for 18. Okay, it's working. I'll check for 25. Okay, no, it's not working for 25. It's going in else condition. So I'll check why it's not working. So I'll check for 35. Okay. So by this way, we understand that if age is less than 17, it's working. If age is 18, it's working. If age is 19 or greater than that, then it's going for else condition. So there is a problem in this. We'll figure it out. So again, we will check for 19 and we'll make sure. Okay. So we understand that after 18, it's creating a problem. So there is a problem with this statement. So I guess it should be if age is uh, smaller than or something. 15, it's working. Now 18. Okay. Now 18 also going. So it should be uh, hmm. So again, what we'll do, we'll make it same. Okay, if age is 18 is greater than, okay, I understand it where I made a mistake. So let's check. Okay, for 18 it's working. So now I'll check for 25. Okay, it's working. Now I'll check for 26. Okay, it's working fine. So I made a small mistake in greater than and less than and greater than. So that's why the script was not running. But yeah, so this is by this way you save one function, that is end function. So here it will not affect you. But when you write a lengthy code and you implement a time function, okay, you implement a time module to check which script is taking what time. So if you instead of this, if you use and function, so obviously in milliseconds it will increase your time. So in production, that is not effective way. This will be the more effective way to do. But will this is the finest version? No, you can use as I said, when you have a 5 years of experience, you will use different methods. When you will be 20, you will use different methods. So yeah, at this point, I'll say this one is the best way. Yeah, but for as a beginner, yeah, if you are using AND function, it's also a good way. Okay, so we solved this. Now we will move on to our today's chapter, that is loops. As I said, there are two types of loops. One is while loop, another one is for loop. First of all, we will go through while loop. I also said if you want to write 1 to 100 numbers, that so manually if you want to write, then why we are using uh, code tool or anything, why we are coding. So instead of this, we can achieve the same task via loop. So we'll check syntax. So while loops, how it works. So while loop, so we'll check syntax of while loop. It will be while. After that, there will be condition, then message. Okay. So this is the syntax of while loop. Same as I said. So let's take a quiz that uh, let's take that we want to print numbers from 1 to no, before that I'll show you how while loops will work. Okay, so I'll give a initial number, that is I equals to 10, while let's I is, okay, sorry, I is greater than 10, print greater. Okay, so here the value of I is 10, and we know that I is not greater than 10, it's equal to 10. So here the condition will be false. So I'll print out and I'll check what will happen. Okay, I'll take a smaller number. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Okay, here you have seen it's not exiting. Means our code is not exiting. It's continuously printing greater, greater, greater. It will not stop until we will stop it. So you can say that is the power of while loop. Uh, I have stopped this script. So this can be danger, but for some functions, it's a good thing. So let's take in an example that we have a condition where we want to print numbers from uh, 1 to 10. As I said earlier, that we want to print numbers from 1 to 10. Or so how we will achieve? We will not write one. Let's take an example, the basic code like print 1, then same I'll do print 2, then same I'll do print 3. So this we will not do. With the help of while loop, we'll achieve the same task. So uh, initially what I'll do, I'll take I value as 0. I'll make I is smaller than, let's say we have to print till 10. So now here what I'll do, I'll write out print uh, num comma I. Okay, so with this I will be continuously printing 0 because here the I value is the, we have to increase the value of I. So we will write I equals to I plus 1. First we will check and then I'll explain you what's the this, what's this, and what's all this. Okay, so it's printed from 0 to 9. As we know that in Python it will work as a integer works as a n minus 1, means last digit. last number uh, will not be printed. So now I'll explain you the exact code. Here I have written y. I have given I. If I is smaller than 10, which I know that it's smaller than 10, initially the value of I is 0. That means it's smaller. Okay. So it's true. While only stops when the condition gets true. If the condition is always false, it will not stop. It will continuously it will print messages. For example, let me comment this statement. And so we know that I value is 0, and we know that here in while loop I have written the condition if I is smaller than 10. Okay, we know that I is smaller than 10, so the condition is true. If I start, see, it will continuously print num0, num0, num0. It will not stop until the condition gets met. So what I'll do, I'll add another statement and I'll say that please increase the value of I with +1. So with every time it runs, the I value will be increased to +1. So initially I is 0, it will become I1, I equals to 1. With second run, with third run, it will be I equals to 2. And if its condition gets true, it will stop. So we'll check. Okay. Here we have till num9 it runs. On num10, it says the condition gets met. I was greater than, now I is greater than 10. So the script will stop. Same, I'll you say. So now your question arises, why I have written this code over here? I can write over here also. I can write if I want, I can write over here also. So I'll explain. I'll print it first and then I'll explain it. Again, why we have to write after the print statement. If we make any mistakes in while loop, it will crash the application because it will continuously run until uh, the application server got hang, memory and CPU will be full and it will be hang. So after that the application will be crashed. So while writing while loops, you have to take care that it's running very properly. So let's take an example. Instead of this statement, instead of here, I have written over here. So what that means, the first thing is okay, so the first and very foremost thing, you should be able to understand the code very properly. Same as I have done mistake. Okay, I have commented out over here, but here I have made some mistake that instead of I have written smaller than instead of greater than. Okay, due to this my script was not working functionally. So in while loop also, if you understand what it's written, so I'll first of all I'll run the code and I'll show you. See, it's num1 continuously printing and script is not stopping. So I guess you have understand why it's not why num1 is printing. First of all, I have given the value of I to 0. Then what I have done, I have increased the value of I with +1. So now my I value becomes I equals to 1. Okay. After that, what I have done, I have used while loop. Okay. So I1 was printing continuously. So now let's take, I'll give you another example now. Instead of outside, I will keep it inside over here and I'll run the code. I guess you have understand if we keep above of our print function, what will happen, but I'll run the code and will show you. See, it prints from num1 to num10. it didn't ignore 10. Why? Because when you read, the initial value of I was 0. Now, what happened when I have written while loop? Okay. So here I have said if I is smaller than 10, then do this thing. Now here I was 0, I have increased with 1. So now the value of I becomes 1. So instead of this, he chosen this because this is the separate part and this is the different and separate part. This is whole different identity and this is whole different identity. So instead of this one, he chooses this one because this is the part of the while loop. So that's why our while loop runs till 10 and stops. So it's uh, you should be very clear when writing your code how it should work. You have to write over here, you have to write over here, or you have to do anything outside. For example, as I said, you have to write if you written over here. For example, you want something like on second run, it should be infinite loop. So you instead of here, you will write over here your code. Same we will do for let's take an example. You want to print your name um, for 5 times or 10 times or n number of times you want. So what we will do? Same what we will do. What I'll write I equals to 0. First of all, always remember that I value will be 0 if you want to start from beginning. If you want to start from 1, you can use 1. If you want to start from 5, you have to start from 5. If you let's take an example. If you want to start from 5, initial value will be 5. Okay, the I value will be 5 here. I 5 plus 1, so it will start from 6. So always remember, so as a base, we always write I equals to 0 and then we will start our while condition. Now, let's say, as I said, if we want to print our name 5 times, okay, so I'll remove, so I'll add my name and then I have said condition that increase by 1. Okay, so if I don't write this statement, let's say it will go to infinite loop and it will start continuously printing I because I haven't said that you have to stop after 5. See, the condition is getting false, 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 and it's not real. When the condition meets, when the condition gets true or condition gets false, it depends on your code. When the condition meets, the script will stop. So I'll say increase the value of I by 1. So again, it will print, say, I'll count. So 3 plus 2, 5. So after fifth, it's the script stop. So it's very important to stop this script. In while loop, you have to mention your code properly. If you mention, as I said, above or outside the while loop, it depends for what purpose you are writing your code. So again, we'll check while loop again with another, I'll say with list. Okay, so I'll create a list and in list there will be 5 names. So um, now take and we'll say Rahul can take one more. We'll take five names. So one more will use Umar. You can say. Now again, what we'll do? We'll write our while condition while list. Now here we have to use length function because while loop doesn't understand what is the list, but while loop knows that the length of the list. So it will be an integer. So as for now we understand that the length of the list is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Total 5 names. It starts from 0. So the length of the list is, I'll say 5. Okay. While list, what I'll do, I'll write I equals to 0. First, I'll set it to 0. For 0, why? Because you have to start from here. Now, why I is smaller than length of list. Okay. Print I. I'll explain you code again. Okay. Now we have to increase the value of I, because if we don't increase the value of I, it will go to infinite loop, and this name observer will be get printed every time. So we'll check before this. Okay, yeah, 0 is printing. So okay, so this one is working very perfect. Now this one is also okay. Guys, just give me one. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So here it's working very fine. Now we have checked. Now it's not related with the list, but we have checked that it's printing correctly with I. So now we have to implement, instead of I value, we have to implement list. So here what I'll do, instead of I, we will print list, as I know that it's working fine. Let's the list. So now I'll start printing list. Let's check. Okay, so there is a problem. It's printing the whole list. I can say it prints 5 times because there are 5 values. So we have made one mistake. We have to do indexing because we want to print the particular name, not the full list again and again. So there was a problem. So what we will do, we will use index. So list, and we will implement this value. Start from 0. I. I'll explain you code again. I'll run and I'll show you. Okay. So the name has been printed. Now I'll explain you the code fully so you'll understand. What we have done, first we have created a list, and list contain 5 names. Then I have created another variable, and base I have given as a value, I have given as a 0. Why 0 I have given? Because I know that in future I have to do the indexing, so I cannot do directly. With this I can implement. We can with this I can access the indexing of the list, means a particular value of the list. So here I have written while I is smaller than length of list. Now we know that length of list is 5 and base I have given 0. So assume that length of list here is 0. So print list, it will try to print full list. Then I have seen use I. So here I know that the length of list becomes 0. So it will take print first name, and then it will again rerun our code. So again, then now this value will become 1. So we know that one value is Raju, so it will print Raju name. Then we know that again with 1 plus 1 it will increase. Now it will print the value become 2, so it will print this Ram. Same goes for Homer. After that, there is no name, so it will say, it will not give any error. It will say the length of class has been finished, and the script, the condition gets met, and then the script will stop working. Okay. So, but sorry guys, just give me 1 second. Okay. So you will say you have to write this line, this line, this line, and then you can print. With for loop, same thing I can achieve with 2 lines of command. Same thing I can achieve with 2 lines of command. I'll show you uh, how for loops will work also. In while loop, this much, there is nothing more. In while loop, the main thing is that how you are implementing the code, on which part you are implementing, on which application you are using while loop. Because if the conditions are not uh, written properly, it will go to infinite loop and there is a high possibility of application crashing. So when you are writing while loops, whether it's for loop or while loop, always test before writing. So smaller parts you can test, and your loops will be perfect.
Um,
So say, yeah, hello,
uh, sorry,
go for it.
after the uh, len is the function for length, is it?
Any function for
The while I smaller than len, that one is what length?
um I didn't understand. So if it's possible, you can write in chat. So I understand. Understood your question. So you saying that what this line means actually. So we cannot use see, as I said earlier, to print from 1 to 10, we not to using length function. By using length function now, simply we can write like this also. While I is greater than list. So the problem over here is list can be anything. Okay. So we are converting, length is not converting, but I'm using a general term. We are converting our list into length. Okay. I'll be more specific. Instead of using list items, we are using length, because length will be, we know that it will be in integer. Here I, the value of I is in integer, so here also we have to use integer only. So with length, we know that length works in integer values. Let's take an example. Instead, in our list, instead of this Afzal is a string, we know that because it's written in double quote. Instead of in this list, instead of it's like a boolean value. Let's say it's true. Okay. So true is a totally different data type in Python. So how while loop will understand what it's written, what it. So we are using a length function to print the values. Okay, with the help of length function, we are printing the values of a list. So it will print true. If I write like this, it will print true. Okay, let's take an example. The whole list is 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. One, two. I'll show you. I'll be so you'll understand more clearly. So I know that the whole list is an integer. So will we have to use length function or not? So simply I'll say I haven't also tested. Will the list is fully integer? It will work without length function or not. So I'll check right now only. So we know that the list is fully integer, so I'm not using length function and I'll print. Okay, so list directly doesn't support. It should be converted into int. Okay, it's saying. Okay, so without the length function, we cannot print the items of list. So we have to use the length function. Okay, so whether in the list it's an integer or any type of any data type value, we have to use length function to use it. I hope it's clear. So I'll okay. So in while loop we saw that there is so much. Uh, I have to write multiple lines of codes and so is there any simple way also? Yes, there is another simple way. So we can achieve the same thing with the help of for loop. Okay. So with two lines of commands, as I said, we can print the list items of all the list. So let's take an example for loop for item in list. We are not using length function and all. In while loop, we have to use, otherwise it will not work. Okay, print list. Let's check now. Okay, we have to use indexing over here. Uh, in string, it will give some error. So I'll use value. I'll show you again for that. I'll use list as an integer and I'll print. Okay, just a second, guys. Okay, understood what the exact I was doing mistake. Here I have to mention item instead of this, so it will work. Okay, so same what we'll do, we'll again we'll come to list and I will print item and it should print. Okay, so with the help of for loop, we can same task we can achieve in with the with two lines of code. So why we are using while loop? As I said, it depends. Okay, I'll share you course content later on, chapter wise. Uh, so why we are using while loop? So it depends on your application. So which one you have to. So as I said, to print a list, we always use for loop. Will not use while loop because with while loop the code becomes four-line code, and with if I want to print simply I want to print items of list, it it will be two lines code. So we will check uh, when we are talking about for loop. So range function comes. So as I said, with this you cannot if same thing. Let's take an example. Uh, your manager said in interview it says that print from 0 to 10 with for loop. So we are not writing like this that for example I equals to 0, then we are writing condition, then we are writing I plus I plus 1. In for loop, we are not like writing like this. So how we will achieve the task? So with the help of range function, we can do the same thing. I'll comment out and I'll show you for item, or instead of I'll say for I in range. So we want to take till 10. So it should print till 9, print I. I'll explain you code once again, but first I will print and will check. Okay, see it's printing from 0 to 9. Same thing we have seen in while loop. We have seen that it took four lines of code to print from 1 to 10, and with the help of for loop, we have achieved the same thing in with the help of with two lines of code. So same thing we can do with for loop also, and with uh, while loop also. Now in range function, there are some methods which I will show you. So as in day 2 or day 3, we already seen just give me one second. With range function, we already seen in day 2 and to day 3 that we can use start, stop, and skip values. So basically, this one is the start and stop value. Sorry, stop value, because what we are saying, when you the condition meets, when it becomes 10, stop it. Okay. So And another language I'll say that when the condition gets true, stop it. Okay. So now I'll explain you again. So range function works like this. Range bracket start value top value, then skip value. So we know that this is the stop value. Suppose an viewer says that print numbers from 5 to 10 with the help of for loop. Okay. So what you'll do, you'll at the start value you'll use 5, comma, then 10. Uh, so here it's also indicating that start and stop value in range. So this is our start value, this is our stop value, and with the for loop we'll start print from 5. Okay, I'll check. See, it started printing with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we'll talk about skip value. Now your interviewer says that with this it should print like this. I'll show you with the skip value of 2. So it should be printing like this: 1, 3, 5, okay, 7, etc. So what we'll do, we can implement skip value as well, that is we'll add 2 and we will print, and I'll show you. See, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay. By default it will be 1. Okay, if you keep 1 or if you write 1 or you will not write, it will work as a 1 only. By default it works as a 1. Now let me check. For loop is also guys this much only, there is nothing much more. Okay, now we have completed range function. Okay, so one more thing I want to tell you, that in last lecture we have uh, conditional expression, we have seen else condition. With for loop and with while loop we can use else condition. I'll show you. Else print for loop else. Okay, I'll print it again and I'll show you so you'll understand. uh, See, I'll make it short so it will be more clearly visible. Okay, it prints till 4, that is 5. Then it prints the else value. So here the question arrives, why I am using else condition if I can write simply like this also? And there should be a purpose. I can write like this also. It's one and the same thing. Okay, no, there is a different. So Else condition only works when the for loop is successfully exited. Okay, means this range function, this print function works successfully. Means it prints till the value of 4, then only for loop will be executed. Let's take an example. Uh, I'll show you another that is break statement. The in Python statements are used wisely. So we will see first statement, break statement. So, and we will also be able to understand why we are using else if we can simply print with this simple line also. So let's check if I equals to 5, then I have to use indentation, break, that much. Okay. So first I will print like this. Uh, uh, No, what I'll do, I'll use else condition and then okay, and now I'll print. So I'll explain you before running. Okay, I'll run it first and I'll explain you. See what happened. After 5, the for loop has been stopped and it doesn't print it else condition. So why? I'll explain you. As I said, else only runs when the for loop is successfully, I'll say naturally get exited. Here I have used break statement that breaks the for loop when the condition get meets at 5. So that means I'll explain you. 1 is printed, nothing much. 2 is printed, 3, 4, 5. I'll write out like this so you'll understand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So this is, if I comment this statement, this will be our output. But what happens here? I have used an if condition. I have read if equals to 5, then break. I'll give you an example. With that example, you will understand clearly. When our for loop is reaching to this condition, that means on the value of 5, it's stopping our for loop and this else condition is not running. So else condition only works when this for loop is successfully exited, means naturally without any other extra condition. I'll show you. See, when it's run till 9, when the loops get naturally exited, else condition gets been printed. And same if I use any other statement, same like break statement, it will not print. So for this reason, we use else condition. Like for example, you write a script in for loop and you want to test that the script is naturally got exited or is there anything that has been happened and it. So at that time you can use else condition to check. If the else condition is printed, that means that your for loop has naturally got exited. Now, for an example, so I'll take an example that you have to go 10 miles. Okay, so this is not related with this, but to understand this break statement, I'll say I'm just giving an example. Okay, so now you have to say that you have to your car. Okay, your car need to go 10 miles with 2 liter petrol. Okay. So what you have done, you have implemented a range for loop, and then you have implemented a if condition. Over there you have written, if my car goes to 5 miles in 1 liter, okay, then continue. Our second statement is continue, so I'll give you the example of that. Then continue. If not, then break it. Okay. So let's take an example. The car only runs in 1 liter petrol. It runs 4 miles. The code will get break. So car will stop because we know that after 10 miles there is a petrol pump. So we know that with 2 liter petrol we will achieve 8 miles. After that 2 miles, what we will do? We have to set. Okay. So for this reason we use break function. If equals to 5, then break. If not, then continue till this. Continue till the line. Let's take an example. If I write something that is not in that in the range. Let's take an example. I written 11. We know that it's not in the range. Will it break? Let's check. No, because it's not. Similarly, the car, let's take an example. Instead of in 1 liter petrol, instead of 5 miles, it runs 6 miles. So no break, continue. Okay. So now we will uh, talk about. I'll keep this example again. So now we will talk about another statement, that is continue statement. Okay. I'll check all comments. Just give me. Let me finish. There is one more statement after continue. So after that, I'll address all the comments. So first of all, I'll say that continue and break are brothers. Okay, not from same mother. You can say that they are cousin brothers. Continue and break are cousin brothers. So if I say about the statement, so continue is used to stop the concurrent iteration of the loop. Let's take in an example that I have written. I'll explain you with again uh, with the example of 0, 1, 9. Okay. So I've written this. Okay. We know that if we comment out, we know that this will be the output. As I already in break statement, we also see. So now what continue says, if the value is this, if the value matches to 5, then only continue. So by this, it will check if yeah, this one, then it will run further. So what is the difference? The difference is that this value will get skipped. When we run the code, this value, this 5 will get skipped. Similarly, in as I said that if we want to go 10 miles with 2 liter petrols, same what I'll do. If my car is going with 1 liter petrols 5 miles, then only continue. Otherwise, stop. Because I know that if it goes 4 miles, after 8 miles, my petrol will be empty. Now, what I'll do? I'll do nothing. I'll sit. Okay. So we'll check, we'll print and we'll check. So here it's printing 5. It should not. So there should be a mistake. I'll check. Uh, okay, so the problem is over here. I have implemented I, so it's fully printing. So instead of I'll use another statement. So now it will be more visible. So let's check. Now it's printing. That should be if I this continue. Okay. Okay. The problem is that we are not printing over here, so that's why it's not showing. What we will do? We'll use print. Okay. So let me check my code first. So okay, I in range 10. Now okay. So okay, if 5 continue, then I'll avoid this to explain this continue statement, because here else we don't need else. Okay, we don't need this statement. Yeah, okay, it's done. So here you can check with break statement also we don't need print over here. Sorry guys, I haven't avoid that. So see, when I was using break statement, so I haven't commented, so I was not in there. So with continue, I understand that I am something doing wrong. So yeah, with testing you will be more perfect when you write your code again and again. You'll understand that if I read print over here, what will be the, if I read print over here, what it will make sense. So with continue, same thing. And with if I use break, same, it will break it at 5, as I said, and that was working over there also. So with break, if you write print over here, it will be okay. But if I continue, then you have to use over here. Okay. So now the last statement is another statement you can say, and this will be the last statement, that is pass statement. Pass. And guys, to be honest, this pass statement is the most and most statement you will write with every line of code. Not sorry, with not every line of code. In your every application, you will use this pass statement. I'll show you what pass do. With the name, you have understand that it should. I'll give you the definition. So it's a, in short, past statement is a null statement. Past statement is a null statement. It instructs Python to do nothing. Okay. So let I'll let's take an example that you are building an application. Let's take an example. You are building a game. Okay. So you let's take an example. You are building a game such as Subway Surfer. Okay. So we all know that in Subway Surfer, one person will run and police will be behind, cops will be behind of that person. And if you get stuck with any train or any something, if you touch any train or something, you will be out. So when you are out, there will be a sound coming. So this all things you have imagined, but you have to implement in the code form. This all thing you have imagined. So let's take an example that as an example, take it. Okay. So first of all, you will say that there is a class function, class game, and I don't know what I'll write it. So I'll use pass. See, if I avoid there, you can see that here the red line is coming. Okay. Why? Because we haven't implemented the code. If I run like this, it will show us some error, unexpected indentation block or something. So to avoid this, what I'll do, I'll use pass. I will construct game. Now, as I said, let's take an example. This I am writing where from on where I can use pass statement. So let's take an example. I'm writing an if condition. If age is greater than 10, okay, and I don't know what I have to write here. I have to use print or I have to use return or I have to break, I have to continue or anything else I have to write. Simply what I'll do, I'll use pass. And again, if your age is nothing, so I'll use age equals to 25. Okay. Okay. I don't know what I have to use over here. So simply what I'll do pass. Pass means do nothing. It will not give you. So let's take an example. If you haven't used pass and you further proceeded to your next code. So for example, you are using, let's take print. Done. Okay. So it's giving error. So I'll show you. I'll print. Uh, so it's giving some error. Here it's showing expected indentation after if statement on line 8. So it's showing that my if statement is not complete. I know that I haven't imagined what I'll write in if statement, but I know that this print statement has been done. This part of the code has been complete. So what I'll do, I'll write pass over here. Okay. Now it will not give any error. I can use print function. Print done. So pass is very important statement in Python because when you are building an application, you don't know when you will write which code. As I said, you are making game. For example, you write def is another function. You write def uh, ouch sound like this. Okay. You also don't know when you will implement which. Let's take an example. You made another class. In that class you said exit or something to exit the game. That also you don't know what you will write, so you will write pass. Guys, just give me one sec. Okay. Sorry. So let's take an example. As I said, you are writing def function. Okay. So def, as I said, you are writing out sound. Okay. Then you have written something like play. Then you also don't know that what you will route from where you will get that sound, how you will produce in the game. So you will use pass. So it will the errors have been gone. If I remove this past statement, say here it's showing error. So to avoid in Python, pies we use to avoid something. Sorry, not to do nothing. Okay, to avoid something, we use past statement, and it is also called null statement. That it instructs Python that I have implemented a past statement. I am not doing anything now, but in future I will write out. Okay. For example, let's take an example. Your manager says within you have given a timeline of 30 days. Okay. In 30 days you have made the code, but that was not the finest code. Okay. So what you have done, you have made your code and you have submitted, and now you have introduced in that function, you have used class and def for later onward. In 1 month you have launched the application. After that, when the in the next release you will be understand that okay, this statement I have to make, I have used past statement. So what you will do in 1.2, you will construct this class game. In 1.3, that you will construct this class and you will minimize the code. So by this way we use past statement to do later on, or to do not in, in short we can say we don't want to do this now, we want to do this in future, we want to write the code in future, we use past statement. So with this we have finished for loop and while loop. So let me check questions. Okay, I'll share content. So for example, okay, so for 100 students you can use something like in range function you can use uh, not in range function. You can use equal to, if equal to. Okay, if you want to print, I understand your question that it's from like 1 to 100 you have to print. One you can use 101. Another one is if you want like for example you want to print this 101 also, then you can use equal to sign also. It will work. So guys, today's class over. So if you have any queries, you can ask.